And every moment counts, baby, I don't wanna miss a thing. We can sleep under the stars, we can sleep under the stars, or hang out in hotel bars, driving somewhere in your car. We can sleep under the stars, we can sleep under the stars, under the stars. Make the most of this night. Come on, baby, take my hand. And we don't need to do the things we don't wanna do.
Looking back at the good times before it all went down. Climb right up on the hillside, a different view of my life. You left me running on and on, but I don't care, would you let me in? You said goodbye like everything's gone, everything that we could have been. But I know you're my liability. Yeah, I know you're my liability. You say that you're sorry. We turn the page and make up. A broken trust got you haunted. To doubting you was enough to leave me chasing you on and on. But I don't care, I will let you in. You said goodbye like everything's gone, everything that we could have been. But I know you are my liability. case we could be. Yeah. Oh, what a hopeless place that we're in. But I'm your liability. I know you are my liability. I know you are my liability. Oh, what a hopeless case we could be. Yeah. Oh, what a hopeless place that we're in. But I'm your liability. Come take my hand, I will walk with you. I won't let go till you say so. There isn't anything I wouldn't do. Wanna make sure that you understand. You're the one who gives my life color. There's no another. With your hand in mine, let me go by your side. Let me go by your side. I wanna stay in your sunlight. I wanna wake up with you by my side. Without you there is no tomorrow. We could be in for the best ride. Want this to last for the rest of our lives. Without you there is no tomorrow. Sometimes I wonder where you came from. You are special, yeah, you're special. Everything about you is so beautiful. I am all yours if you let me stay. You're the one who gives my life color. There is no another. With your hand in mine, let me go by your side. Let me go by your side. I wanna stay in your sunlight. I wanna wake up with you by my side. Without you there is no tomorrow. We could be in for the best ride. Want this to last for the rest of our lives. Without you there is no tomorrow.
And good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome back to Let's Talk China. Today's event is China the Factory of the World? We've got a few special guests on our panel today. We have Cyrus Janssen in here. We have Jerry from This Is China, Lee Barrett, and a little bit later in the program, we have Mike Pompeo coming in. I'm just kidding, but I thought you guys would like that. I thought we would start off with just telling you who our special guest is. Unfortunately, Mike has declined to come onto the show today, but we'll see what we can do. Anyway, everyone, it's been quite an exciting week here. As you know, there's been a lot of China-U.S. Relations, a little bit bitterness going on here. A couple of embassies have been asked to close, or consulates, whatever we can refer to them as. As we got news last night that the one in Chengdu region, which, as you know, also uses in the province where Chongqing is, with the city that I was in recently, that is under the administration of the Chengdu U.S. Embassy there. So that's unfortunate. We hope that this tit for tat gets worked out here, and we can move on. So let's have a look at our panel today, our great panel. Cyrus, you're there. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah, everything's good here. Pleasure to be back, gentlemen. So enjoyed meeting everybody 2 weeks ago, and just always honored to be here with some other China vloggers. Thank you.
Welcome.
Lee, welcome back. You got your coffee machine going there this morning?
I have, yeah. I had a bit of an issue with my coffee machine this morning, but I'm all sorted now. And
Nice.
just a bit busy at the moment because, as probably a lot of you know, Ollie's away on holiday with his girlfriend. So I'm sort of left manning the fort while he's away. So just a little bit busy.
And we got Jerry. This is China. Welcome aboard, Jerry.
Hey, hello everybody. Welcome to the stream. And I'm a little bit sick today. So by the way, I don't know if you guys can notice my voice sounds a little bit weird, but I can assure you it's not the virus. I've got the normal flu, but everything's good, guys.
Right.
Everything is good. And I want to say hello to everyone in the side chat. What's up, guys? Drop us a like, please.
Yes, I just want to say good morning to everybody in our side chat. Good morning, Darren, and good morning to Mika, and who else have we got here? We got to get some people out of bed too. Some people said to me, "Hey, man, it's a bit too early," but it's never too early. It depends where you are, right?
It does.
So thank you very much for coming on the program. As you guys know, if you're wondering where Kurt is currently filming on location in Chongqing, and as soon as he gets back, he'll be filming again. I think it's with Radio China or someone in another region. So he's been quite busy. He has sent his regards and says hello to everyone out there watching the program. We're going to try to squeeze him in maybe next Saturday if we can get him to be on the show. And I know next weekend a couple other people here will be, I believe it's Alex Absolute and Jio Nations. Matt will be also going to Chongqing. That's what we hear. Hopefully that will work out weather-wise too. As you know, Chongqing's been dealing with a lot of heavy rain, and some of the rivers are under pressure down there. All right, so gentlemen, we try to not always bring up things based US China based stuff, but this one has put the spotlight on a couple of very sensitive issues here. And as you know, Huawei last week was front and center in the news again with the we'll call it banning of the devices in as of December in the United Kingdom. And then following that, we had the boys in Houston being asked to leave. So we're on the topic today, factory of the world. I mean, where do we stand with this? I'm going to go with you, Lee, and maybe you can, you're right in Shenzhen there. That's the Silicon Valley of China. Absolutely. I mean, what's the mood down there?
Yeah, well, I think actually there's a lot of this talk by Western nations about pulling their factories out of China, and I think to an extent, if it's something strategic, I think that the coronavirus has highlighted that maybe some of these countries should have some of this sort of super strategic equipment manufactured in their country, and I would agree with that. But I think as a sort of general rule, I think manufacturing isn't going to be leaving China anytime soon. And I think there's a number of reasons for that. One is that, over the last sort of 10 or 12 years or maybe longer, there's been massive investment in China. One, sort of the logistics infrastructure and manufacturing infrastructure. China have some of the most sort of modern automated factories in the world. And the other thing is supply chain. So if you look at China, various areas of China are very good for certain products. So if you look at Guangzhou makes a lot of leather products. Shenzhen makes electronics products. Shantou makes toys. And they have what are in China called clusters of factories. So if you're in Guangzhou and you're making handbags, all the factories that produce the leather are there. All the factories that produce the buckles are there. All the factories that produce, all the other bits and pieces that go with a handbag are there. So if one of your suppliers doesn't have buckles, within an hour you can procure them from somewhere else. So they have this cluster supply chain infrastructure in place. And 2 days ago, I was with a factory in Dongguan, and the owners of that factory are actually Taiwanese people. And I was talking to him. He says, there's quite a lot of pressure from the Chinese government for us to bring factories out the mainland into Taiwan. And he says, but there's just no, they don't have this sort of supply chain infrastructure in Taiwan. So even though you have, factories in Taiwan, they still have to procure a lot of the parts from mainland because there's nowhere else that manufactures these things. So I think this is something to really remember when, Westerners are talking of bringing factories back. One, are the people going to invest? Just to set up a plant like an LCD panel plant, you're talking of billions upon billions of dollars investment, maybe months and months and months to get that production line up and running. And I just think the Western companies won't invest that because their companies in the West are too led by shareholder value. So yeah, that's sort of my thoughts on this situation. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon.
So, while we're on the topic here of, China, the factory of the world, my experience, and I've been doing business in China since 2003, I would love to call up a North American company or even a European company to order the products for, our online business. The problem is that most of these, people that we would order from either in Europe or North America are distributors on behalf of, Chinese suppliers. So, what we do there is we just go directly to the suppliers and try to cut out the middleman to help our margins. So, I mean, this is the thing that a lot of people in North America, they want to buy a product that is made in their own country, and I can appreciate that. Mm-hmm. But we looked at the assembly of even cars, certain brake parts, certain fenders, bumpers, all that is imported and it's assembled in other parts of the world. And I want to bridge this gap here by saying, like, if these countries work together on trade, it really does benefit the consumer. That is, first of all, that is definitely to the advantage for the consumer. They save money. So this kind of, let's get rid of China on the, from the assembly standpoint doesn't really work out. And I agree with you, Lee. I mean, I walked the streets of Shenzhen. I went out, took a car out of town outside of Shenzhen to look at the factories. These factories have massive investments, millions upon billions of dollars invested in, robotics, the staff that is working there. I mean, they have finding that skilled staff to work. This is not China of the old, where people used to think that, people would be making, they call them sweatshops and stuff like that. That is, when I hear that, that is such an old stereotype of China. And I still get that today, where people say, but they're running sweatshops there. I mean, the average wage of a person working in Shenzhen now, is skyrocketed from, I think, even in the last 5 years.
Absolutely.
That's a very expensive city to live in, and as well as, once again, the country continues to invest in infrastructure. And I'll explain why this is important. And, if you guys did see our photo, it shows a massive port with cargo containers. Well, let's go back about 5-6 years ago. I used to import items, and they used to bounce through from China. They used to bounce through Hong Kong, and they would go in because I'm air freighting most of my stuff. And we would get about a 7 to 8 day turnaround. And now, when we order stuff from China, with all the infrastructure in place, the new ports down there in Shenzhen and stuff, we have managed to be able to get an item, source it, put it on an airplane, land it, clear it in Europe in under 72 hours. Now that is unbelievable. That just shows you the investment of logistics. So, I mean, in a way, can we agree? And I'm going to go to Cyrus on this. And Cyrus, for all your viewers, Cyrus is new to the panel. He runs a channel on YouTube called Cyrus Janssen, and we'll put the links in the box there. And I encourage everybody right now to, hit that subscribe button. We have seen a little bit of censoring going on a few channels here, our China channels lately. Even some big names have been kind of the algorithms playing up with us. We're getting a lot of people that are either unfortunately unsubscribed, and then they have to resubscribe. And then as well as, we'll get to that later anyway. So Cyrus, I'm going to go to you. I mean, you've spent quite a long time here in China, and I mean, what's your thoughts on the, factory of the world? Is it working out? Is it causing problems? I mean, is this the right route for China? What's your thoughts on it?
Oh, absolutely. So first of all, Alex, thanks again for having me on the show. It's so great to be here. Always enjoy chatting with you guys. And, as we just try to kind of decipher, what is going on in the world. China's always, in the news right now. And that's the one thing that I want people to always realize is, me being an American as well, kind of our biggest export, is, let's say, the American dream. And I always say this when I was living in China. I always say that every Chinese person had an American dream, whether it was, that's why these products, for instance, the Starbucks coffee is so so popular in China, why Nike shoes, McDonald's, Apple, all of these American companies, they thrive in China because for so long, people were admiring, America. And the big thing about it is that, if it wasn't for China and this unique relationship between China and the United States for the last 30 years, this American dream wouldn't be possible. There's a reason why, Starbucks, the shareholders of Starbucks have increased so much, over the last 15 years. Most of that growth is coming from China. I mean, Starbucks within, America is pretty saturated, but they can continue to expand in China. I mean, look at Apple, we went through this a couple of weeks ago when I said, look at the, the Dow Jones, look at these 30 companies, all of them have connections to China. And I just think, when we're talking about this relationship, earlier this year, there was a really interesting thing when a lot of the shoe wear executives, there was about, I'm going to say about 70 different shoe manufacturers in the United States. They had actually gone to the Oval Office and they said, look, President Trump, we have to look at this trade war, because if we're going to start, taxing all of these imports into China, this is directly going to affect the U.S. consumer. The pair of Nikes that are $100, they're going to be taxed 30% more. So it's going to be $130 for this pair of Jordans instead of $100. So that's, who's going to be the most affected of that? Obviously, it's going to be the consumer. So, I mean, I get, and I do agree. I like what Lee said is, if we're going to be moving some of these specialty factories back, and, I love it when people can make products in America. I love supporting local businesses when I'm in America, but we just have to realize that it's pretty much impossible to boycott China. If you really want 100% boycott China, even if you don't have a product that's 100% made there, more than likely some parts of that are made within that. And like Lee and everybody said here, this has been a result of decades long of investment. And this is not just a short-term thing like, we made a factory last year, let's just close it and bring it back. This has been in production for decades, and this is just billions of dollars at play. And again, China has the infrastructure. And it was just amazing to see. There's a really good show on Netflix, a good movie called American Factory. And it was about, do you see it, right? And so it was just amazing how, you have the Chinese owner, Chinese billionaire, he goes into Michigan and he buys a factory. And you saw the different, cultural, conflicts that were going on there. And one of them was just simply, one of my favorite parts was when it was one of the Chinese manager. He's like, "Gosh, it's just so difficult. These Americans, they want to work 5 days a week. I mean, they have no work ethic here, and I mean, it's amazing. I think there's a saying in Chinese, I forget, it's like the 12-6-6. It's like you're working 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, something along that line. So
996.
996. Yeah, that's what it is. So, I mean, they have a different, and again, this is why they're producing these, these goods, these factories are doing good. And this is why the world needs China. But like you said, I mean, one of the things that also gets me fired up is a lot of people, for instance, they're saying, they're attacking this week on social media. We've got some U.S. senators coming out and saying, look, LeBron James, why are you endorsing Nike? Nike is slave labor. Everybody in China is underpaid. They're all slaves. It's like, again, look at the wages. I mean, the wages from Shenzhen and these factories, it's expensive now. It's not as cheap as it was to manufacture in China. You have healthcare benefits, you have pensions, the wages have increased substantially in the last 10 years, even in the last 5. So it's not like, I mean, like we said, Chinese people are making more money and they're still producing more jobs. So it's a two-way street. I think both nations are really working great together. Chinese people are, have done a great job benefiting from the relationship of the Westerners, producing their products in there, and vice versa. The American dream is made possible because of China. And I just want everybody to realize that.
And I'm going to add to that, Cyrus. Yeah. You see, it shouldn't be, but it is. It shouldn't be, let's shut the factories down. Let's bring them back to American soils. I'm going to run through a successful story here, and this is the Apple story. If you look at the components of an Apple iPhone and how these phones are made, once you assemble them, manufacture all the parts, put them together, ship them to North America, they have a built-in 70% margin already for Apple. Yeah. Now, that means Apple can go out, they can market it, they can use, a lot of very expensive marketing techniques, advertisements, Super Bowl advertisements, you name it. Apple has the balance sheet, but that money and those profits go into Apple itself. They don't go back into China. Now, the Chinese, they make their phones. It's a high quality product, and that squashes this only cheap products are made in China. Well, pick up your iPhone and tell me if that's a cheap product. Designed in California, by the way. So when you have a product like that or a product line like that, and you break it down and you break that margin down, in fact, it is Americans that are benefiting a lot. So why would you want to bring back this to your shores when your public company is making a very good margin on these products? And hopefully the public company is either reinvesting in R&D or reinvesting in its local economies, maybe more shops, more stores, R&D facilities. I mean, the balance sheet of Apple is quite impressive. I mean, it's $1 trillion company with hundreds of billions of dollars on its balance sheet. So that it's working, and I've always had this thing is I call it the G2 instead of the G7 or, the G20. I call it the G2, and you've got China and the United States, and if they, they can really take on the world here. And, we have these other nations that are trying, in Thailand here, we do have a lot of manufacturing, but we've had a very difficult year here in Thailand where we had a currency actually appreciate against a lot of other currencies. And a lot of factories are actually leaving Thailand now. I didn't think I would ever see that, but they're shutting down and actually leaving Thailand. So this is getting difficult. It shows that, if you have the right amount of money on infrastructure, things can improve. Now, I just want to say thank you very much to the Super Chat contribution that came in. Thank you for that. I'm going to go over to Jerry here. Jerry, factory for the world here. What's your thoughts?
Right. So I will add to what Lee first said, that factories are not going, or the business are not going anywhere soon, right? Look, we've never seen a country that lifted so many people from poverty than what China has done. They moved all these people from rural areas into cities to start work, to build the economy with the Chinese, right? Here's the thing, man. I'm sitting on the port right here. Sorry for my snuffy nose, guys. I'm sitting on the port. As I look just behind my computer screen right there, they are busy loading ships. They are still continuing doing what they are doing. I want to agree with Lee. They're not going anywhere real soon, man. Definitely not. And here's the thing to think about, that what Europe has done in the Industrial Revolution in 100 years, China did this in 30 years. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that China is going to give all of this up real soon. They're going to hold on to what they have accomplished in this 30 years. They're definitely not going to let it slip through their fingers, definitely not. And they are so set up to still maintain this whole, growth, that it's kind of impossible to, to let it slip through the fingers. That's what I want to add to Lee's point. And I heard Cyrus said that in America, they think it's cheap labor, slave labor, for the Chinese to assemble all these products here in China. That's absolute nonsense. If you can go Google and fact check this, but the average Chinese person earns like about $19,000 a year, which is pretty much okay. That is 100% okay to live on. So I think it's absolute nonsense, man. It's not really slave labor. These guys are just willing to work together with their great management, which is the government, to pursue their dreams of becoming the #1 economic superpower in the world. And listen to me, my call is they will reach it. There's nothing going to stop these guys. And yeah, lastly, what I want to say is just look at the virus, right? When the virus struck the world, all economies closed down. China was the first country basically to close everything down. So I guess what I'm trying to say is it's all about management, guys. Look what the government did. This 30-year thing they built, they basically put aside to save the lives first. They care about their people. So, man, I just believe if you have the perfect management, which is the government over here, running the show for the country, there's no way of failure. There will just be growth and success. And that is what China is busy currently doing. That's my take on it.
Mm-hmm. And thank you for that, Jerry. And thank you, Fluffy Fluff, for your contribution to the channel as well. I want to continue to add on that because United States has a very, very good opportunity here. I mean, to continue. And, as you know, Donald Trump, he's the business guy. And, he may not be everybody's flavor, but he is business. And if there's someone that can work, this out, he might have different techniques that a lot of people really aren't in favor of. But the fact of the matter is, this is business now. And these are two nations that, do a lot of trade. And if they can work this out and they can, move forward on this, then everybody can get back to, get their economies back going and get making some money. Because I'll tell you now, it's quite difficult if you're starting to run a new company or a new project somewhere. You have, very few limited abilities where it's going to be manufactured. And, now we're seeing the rise of a lot of patents coming out of China and technology, this starting to threaten a little, the momentum of some of these startups, where we used to see a lot of startups in California, which we still do, but we're starting to see this happen in China now. And, there's only so many skilled people that can do some of these startups. I'll give you an example. Tesla is very upset right now with a Chinese startup. I don't know if any of the panel is aware of this, but there's a opposing, does anyone know what the name of the Chinese company that's starting the cars? Cyrus, do you know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, there's quite a few here.
Is it not Neo?
It's Neo, yeah.
Does somebody want to take this? Just raise your hand if you want to take it. And
I can just have a little go at this because 3 weeks ago we were at a motor show in Shenzhen, and it was it was only a day or two show, but I was absolutely gobsmacked at the amount of Chinese branded, mainly electric cars there. And some of these cars, they were really smart. and the price is not that good. So you've got NIO, you've got BYD, you've got a whole string of other electric car brands. And this just ties into a super chat that I've just had from Jiang Yan Chen. A car reviewer said that the car exporting has always been the weak part of Chinese car industry, but now it seems like to be a strength in this post-COVID-19 for recovery. And I think unless, if you look at the traditional manufacturers, your Volkswagens, your Mercedes, your BMW, they've been really, really slow to the party with electric vehicles. And that's not the case in China. You've literally got 10 or 15 electric car companies that have sort of sprung up over the last few years here in China. And they are making some really impressive high quality vehicles. And as Alex has just mentioned, NIO is one of them. And I think these will really start to challenge. I mean, in Shenzhen, because there's a lot of traffic on the road, there's major incentives to buy an electric car over a fossil fuel car. So if you buy a fossil fuel car, you might have to wait a year to get a plate before you can drive it. If you buy an electric car, you can get a plate instantly and drive it straight away. So there's a massive movement here, certainly in Shenzhen, and I think in lots of parts of China to go electric. But I had no idea how many Chinese companies were making electric cars, and I was seriously impressed. And we will do a video on it because we took a lot of footage there. But yeah, really impressed.
Yeah, and also
I want to add to this, guy. Oh, go ahead, Jerry. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to add with Lee's point there with, how mind-blowing it is how many electric cars are actually in China, different brands and so on and so forth. This is, again, the Chinese are smart, because if you have petrol cars or engine cars, it takes longer to maintain, number one, to service, to fix if there's any problems. If it moves to electrical cars, it's like literally they plug in a little plug in your car and sort the problem for you on the fly. So it's all about making everything faster in China. And I think that is what, that is China's goal. Everything must be faster, bigger, as soon as possible now. And, there's no country that compete against these people, to be kind of honest. And it's not just because I'm sitting in China. I'm talking actual fact. There's no country that can compare to China if it gets to, growing, new ideas, getting bigger, getting stronger. I still say China is the gentle giant of the world here. They don't make too much noise. Just in the backside, they're starting to build to rise to the top. And that is what's happening over here.
Good point. But I also want to give the Americans a little bit of, a pat on the back here, too, because you got to remember that, without United States involved, it would be difficult to, that's your buyer. Your buyer's on the other side of the water there too, Jerry. So, it can't just be about one nation, and the idea. I get that, and I value that. But let's look at another business where a lot of people don't pay attention to at all, and this is the export
to the buyer. You mean? You
what
mean
I'm saying
to the
is
buyer,
that what I'm saying is if you're producing products in China, you have a trade deficit of, $560 billion going to the United States. They're buyers of that product. You don't want to disturb that trade line at all. And that's why we're getting some pushback by the Americans saying, wait a minute, we got such lopsided trade deficit. How can we make this better? But here's a point where a lot of people are really missing here. And this is where America's market comes into China. And the Americans have been quite brilliant on this part, is professional sports, gentlemen. How much professional sports are being brought into China audiences, NBA, Major League Baseball, hockey, all these sports are on, some of the Chinese networks, and the Chinese are paying for this entertainment. Now, this is very expensive, and we're talking a lot of money here. So that's where the U.S. gets to benefit on the soil. Another one that we're missing here is what really pushes a lot of Hollywood movies is the movie theaters in China. This money goes back to, the studios and to, because when you're running a movie theater, that profit on that film is not going to the venue that's playing it. They're making money on popcorn and Coca-Cola and that, but a bulk of that money is going back to California and, other places that are filming these movies, these studios. So that is a lot of money that we're not really focusing on. And I'll tell you, North America, they know how to entertain people. We're on one of their platforms right now, gentlemen. So, it's very interesting. And that's why I'm saying it's okay to have China be the factory of the world. That's okay. If the other side of the world is benefiting it, great. If they're happy with, the manufacturing, I think China is very happy with the manufacturing. Are the Chinese, I'm going to put this to the panel. Are the Chinese happy with, a lot of the entertainment that's coming from the United States? We're talking professional sports. We're even talking the Europeans that are in this market with the Formula One. So these are things that we don't really talk about. But how big, maybe somebody on this panel can tell me how big and how much money is entertainment from the United States?
Well, the cinema market has just boomed in the last 5 to 10 years here in China. I thought it was interesting that even Mike Pompeo took a swipe at that in his speech. He was sort of lambasting how the Hollywood movie companies are sort of altering their films to pander to the Chinese audience. But what you've got to look at the reality, there's a huge market here in China for cinemas, and it's really took off over, even I've noticed since I've been coming to China. When I first come into China sort of 10 or 12 years ago, cinemas weren't really a big thing. Now, nearly all the major malls over here have got big, cinemas, IMAX cinemas, showing all the big blockbuster movies. And, that is bringing a huge amount of money into the, the bank accounts of these large American filmmakers. And I think it's right that they alter their films to, to suit the Chinese audience, because there's certain things that just won't fit with a Chinese audience that will fit with an American audience. But they see the potential of the money, that they might have to spend an extra $20 million to make some small adjustments to a $300 or $400 million film. But for them, that's absolutely worth it for the return they're going to get from the Chinese audience. And, I think it's just a cheap shot that Mike Pompeo sort of frames it, that the Hollywood film industry are pandering to the needs of the Chinese government, when I think that the reality of the case, that is not why they do it. They do it because they see the money. And I just want to make
Cyrus. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Just before we go on, I just want to address a super chat from Trevor Norman. He says the MG electric cars getting really good press reports in the UK, and that MG, if nobody knows out there, was a brand, was a British brand, and it went into liquidation. It was bought by the Chinese, and they've developed that brand. And as I say, Trevor's now saying that their electric cars are getting some really, really good press in the coverage in the UK press.
And to add to that point, Lee, a lot of these companies have had a lifeline. I don't know, you guys have seen my recent video on the Maldives. It's everywhere. When I was in the Maldives, I've been going to the Maldives traveling for probably the last 7 years. And each year I was going, I was always asking everybody, and if you've never been to the Maldives, you'll notice that their airport is an island and the main city of Mali is an island. But how you used to get from the airport to the mainland was always by boat. They never built a bridge connecting the airport to the main city. And for many years, I kept saying, when is this bridge going to be finished? It was going on and on and on. And finally, on our last visit, we noticed that China has stepped in. And they also stepped in. Yeah, they stepped in regards to the airport and the bridge. They call it the China Maldives Friendship Bridge. Well, that bridge was built, okay, and the airport was also because this is tourism to the Maldives is everything. And also Beijing, financed to the tune of about $1.5 billion and are building another 11,000 apartments on a neighboring island to the airport. That is massive. But they put their money where their mouth is. Now, you're going to get a lot of people push back and say, well, this is China trying to bully their way in and, to indebt nations. And I think, Cyrus, you made or Jerry, do you want to step in on this one?
Sorry, man, it's Cyrus's turn. I don't want to take his time. I just want to say nonsense, man. Business is business. They keep on saying China is bullying their way into countries, especially the African countries. I'm from South Africa, right? We are struggling to keep our goddamn lights on in South Africa. If it wasn't for the Chinese that come and try to help us, redevelop what our poor government is busy breaking down, the country will go in chaos. So, man,
I agree with that, Jerry.
At the end of the day, it's bollocks. It's not bullying themselves into this, business booming strategy that they have. It's called business, and that is why I'm with you here, Alex. When you say Trump is a great businessman, there's some things we don't agree about. Many things that he does that we don't agree with, but he is a good businessman, and that makes China just work harder to overcome, to beat Donald Trump in the end. So. Yeah, man, people must not talk bollocks. Business is business. This is how life works. That's my.
And you'll see it, my video. I can't avoid it, guys. I mean, people are saying, how did China end up in a Maldives video? Hey, the number one tourist in the Maldives now, Chinese, by far. And when I used to go to these resorts and I would visit some of these resorts and I would say to them, who's your number one tourist here? Because in Thailand, it's Chinese. So who's the number one tourist here? They would never say it. They would say, well, it's the Europeans. And I said, well, guys, the numbers aren't quite adding up here. It's Chinese, isn't it? And now on my last trip there, you'll see I have a fantastic interview with a general manager. And he's just saying, you know what? Yep. The Chinese are here. Yep. They've invested. The airport's better. And what did they do? They also, the airline was in trouble. They bought the airline. They financed the airline. So you got the airline, the airport, the bridge is going, commerce is going, everyone's going. Of course, they've been smacked hard by this virus. But as of the 15th, they're one of the very few countries that are now open. They open up fully on the 15th of July. But you can feel the investment coming there. And trust me, it is for the good. I see it. So Cyrus, I'm going to go to you on this one here. Maybe you got some comments. I was a bit sidetracked. What were we talking? We were talking about, sports. You have some experience in the sports business. So maybe you could take over on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for many of you that might not know, so I actually worked in China for many years, specifically within the golf industry. And, we worked for a sports marketing company in Hong Kong as well, where we worked with Liverpool Football Club. We've worked with, many different sports as well. But one of the interesting things, when we're talking about, Jerry, I love what you talked about, just saying it's business. And when you look at the NBA, the NBA's largest market by far outside of the United States is China. 20% of the entire NBA's revenue comes directly from mainland China. Now, this is from licensing deals to have the games televised in China. Obviously, lucrative contracts with Chinese companies that want to sponsor, obviously the Houston Rockets because of their connection to Yao Ming. They are kind of China's national team, if you will. I think there's about 12 different Chinese companies that are involved with the Houston Rockets in some level of sponsorship. And you can even see that, even the Houston Rockets, on their jerseys, they'll have, Huojian, rocket in Chinese, in the Chinese characters on their jersey. And, some people, it's like, what? They're selling out to the Chinese. Well, no, it's about doing business. If you have a country that is literally on the other side of the world that accounts for 20% of your revenue, but again, but again, this is the potential to grow. If we're going to grow the game of basketball, this is why the NBA does exhibition games in China to start off the season, because they know that they want to stimulate that interest. And specifically, I'll give you another really great example. This is a really interesting insight. So I worked specifically within the golf industry, and one of our clients was Augusta National Golf Club. Now, for the non-golfers out there, Augusta National is the most private, exclusive golf club in the world. It's in Augusta, Georgia. It hosts an annual tournament every year called the Masters. The Masters is the biggest golf tournament in the world. And because of their position as being the #1 club in the world, they feel that they have an obligation to give back. And they want to grow the game of golf around the world. So what they did is they came to Asia, and about 10 years ago, they said, we're going to start an Asian Pacific amateur contest. And what we're going to do is we're going to invite all nations in Asia. And this is not just Asia, but even down to New Zealand and Australia, all the way to Qatar and Dubai, and kind of the whole Middle East and Asia region, about 60 countries in total. They said, we're going to pay for every country. You have a minimum of 2 players will come in. We're going to fly you all in. We're going to take care of your accommodations and everything. And at the end of the day, I was talking with the chairman and with the organizers, and they said, Cyrus, the best case scenario for us is we would love to see a Chinese winner. And I said, this is why. If we have an Australian winner or a New Zealand winner or a Japanese winner, all of these winners, golf is already established there. Like if you have an Australian, amateur win the Asian amateur, it's not really a big deal, because Australia already has a tremendous amount of great golfers. So does Japan. So does New Zealand. All of these places. But China, this is where we can really move the needle in the game of golf. Golf is only 30-something years old. The first golf course in China was built in 1984. It's still a very young sport in China. But you look at the future and where that is going, this is why the PGA of America, one of the projects that I work with, we're working with the PGA of America, bringing their academies, bringing that brand into China, because this is where the future is. This is how we're going to grow the game of golf and to grow sport, basketball, all of these sports. So again, it goes down to business and forming relationships. But again, like basketball, how much more, is it possible to add 10 million more new basketball players in America? I mean, we've got all the development, right? We've got all the leagues, all the, in the school teams, all of that nature. But you can really move that needle. You can create new fans in all of these different arenas. And it's amazing how that entertainment is accepted in China. It's loved, and the people love consuming it. And so that's my 2 cents on the whole, the whole matter.
I want to add to that, and thank you very much for the super chat. Some people are saying glad they see me back and healthy. As you noticed, I've got one headphone in one ear and one not in the other ear. Guys, I am days away from getting some surgery done. So thank you for all your wishes, and I'm hoping it'll be fine, but I'm trying not to think about it too much. Cyrus, I want to add to that because, interesting point about sports. I think one company, or we'll call it one sport, has done a fantastic job at this, and that is Formula One.
Yeah.
You see, race car teams, the Germans are in there, the Japanese are in there, the Chinese are in there, the Americans are in there. Every nation is in there, and they're trying to, get better and get a better car, and they're sharing, all types, in that sport. Formula One is much more intense than people think. It's how to get razor seconds faster. And that is, where can we find the talent to help us get our car to go a little bit faster? What better tires can we, what intellectual property and advantages can we do? There's all types of components that go into a Formula One team, whether it's manufacturing of an engine, whether it's, aerodynamics, whether it's, onboard computer systems. This is all nations working together. And that's what I'm saying. When all nations work together, it's amazing. I want to also add to Cyrus's point here about basketball. We are in a time in this world right now where we're dealing with social distancing. So online viewing might be massive coming up in the next few years here. Wouldn't you want to have, let's say, baseball, basketball, or all these sports that need to kind of reinvent themselves until we can, get over this pandemic, where the audience is obviously there for Netflix, is obviously there for Amazon Prime, but let's talk sports. The online audience could be massive for the American market and the Canadian and the South African and the football market and whatever, to be broadcasted to an audience that loves to be entertained. And that is huge money here, guys. That is huge potential. Somebody want to maybe add to that?
Well, I think we can go another direction. I see people are going crazy in the side chat here. Talking about SpaceX and the space, the space race against China and America essentially right now. Back in the day, it was America and Russia, right? It all shifted to America and China. Here's the thing. Why can't the world let China be China? Let them win fairly. Because here's my reason I'm saying this. China just launched a rocket into space to go to Mars, right? That is America's biggest thing, new best thing coming up. There goes Trump. He's creating the space force in space, and openly Pompeo and Mike Pompeo and Trump out this now, that they did this to protect space from China. So, I mean, really, what bollocks is this? Let the guys win fairly. If they are faster than you on their feet, think on their feet, let them win. Why do you need to protect space? Because China is busy busy trying to, to find new ways to explore space. I mean, really, let China be China. That's what I want to say there. And
well, Jerry,
I don't know. I think Lee can go on with it from here. Yeah.
Go ahead, Cyrus, because I've got a couple of points.
No, I'll just to add in real quick. I mean, that is the thing that I think China really wants with everything, right? I mean, you see, the problem is that's just not the American way. America has to be in control. And, when, for instance, what's interesting is, you look 20 years ago, or let's say 30 years ago, China's GDP was 5% of America's. Okay. And now we can see that gap as being much closer. I mean, 20 years ago, did we hear anybody say, there's human right abuses in China? What about all the slave labor in China? What about all of this stuff? No one gave a crap about that, 20 years ago. But now all of a sudden that gap has come down much closer. And the US is saying, look, we potentially are not going to be number one. We're essentially going to lose face, right? We can't take second fiddle to China. So, that's why we have to come up with all of this nonsense. We need to launch into space. Why? Because we need to protect space, because they're communists at the end of the day. And that's just kind of the common scapegoat is always, the communist. And the thing is, I mean, as we know, China, it's not really a communist country, right? And again, I talked about this last time, is there's so much capitalism that's being embraced. There's so many things still to this day. I mean, people talk to me about China and it's like, look, you can't own property in China. You can't invest in China. You can't travel China. I'm like, what are you talking about? Chinese are literally traveling the world and buying everything because they have the assets to do that. But they're still stuck in this stereotype. Again, so many people, think that China is the China of the 1970s. So that's just where we're.
That's absolutely right. Yeah.
Oh, that's just. I mean, to add
to that, guys. I've been traveling to quite a few countries and actually living in a lot of countries. When I was in Monaco, I could never become a citizen. When I'm in Thailand, I cannot be a passport holder in Thailand. I can't actually buy land in Thailand as well. So you have these restrictions going. It's very easy to say it, if my wife moved to Canada, she would have to live there. And Cyrus, you're probably aware of this. She would have to live there, a few years before she would even be a Canadian citizen. Here's where it makes it even more difficult. Her nationality doesn't allow dual citizenship. So that makes it even more complicated. If I was to move to Lithuania, I can't be a citizen for 10 years unless I live there. So, when my wife and I have a child coming up here, it's going to be interesting. Is the child Canadian? Is he Lithuanian? What is he? We're going to have to make a choice. Or she, what is she? So it's complicated. And guys, I got to add this also, something that just occurred to me. Look at the entertainment industry in general. Look at all the recording artists, all the canceled concerts. The Elton Johns, the Taylor Swift concerts. All these major concerts have been canceled. Okay, where do you think this audience is going to come back? If it's going to go online, if it's going to be supported by markets. What a huge opportunity for the rest of the world to say, right, we got to reinvent something and we have the ability to do it. People want to be entertained. How can they be entertained? Well, you've got huge artists that are right now, they're burning a lot of money. and they're not on tour. I mean, some of these artists are going to be in trouble. And I know you're going to say, well, it doesn't matter. You know, they made millions of dollars, but their business is under threat. If you're a recording artist, you're somebody that toured the world, you're an actor that, you know, worked on 4 or 5 movies a year, you're in, you know, there's problems here. And, you know, look at the baseball players. They had to get the unions involved just to say, is this possible? I know there's probably not a lot of Canadian football fans here, but the Canadian CFL that's been around for 100 years is on the brink of bankruptcy because of this pandemic. They're saying, well, I'll play the games to an empty stadium. It doesn't work, that business model for certain sports. They need, you know, people in the seats. But if, you know, and we have it, if the technology is there are people that are willing to pay to watch the game from home. And as long as they're entertained and it's done right, that's a whole level that, you know, I just think that this is really missed by a lot of people here.
Mm-hmm. Can I just say thank you to the member?
Go ahead, Jerry.
I just want to say thank you to, I just got a new member, guys. You can do so by clicking on the blue button next to my channel. Thank you so much to Larry Wu. He just became a member. Thank you so much. Do appreciate it.
Cool. Okay, I just want
guys,
to address
here's what I want to do, and go to you, Lee. We're going to go to you, Lee, and then just going to add something. Go ahead, Lee.
Okay, so Fluffing Fluff has sent a super chat in. I really appreciate that. I refuse to believe that Western governments don't know the things we are talking about here. They just don't care because they have their own political financial interests at heart. Yeah, and I would say I think a lot of the rhetoric coming out of the USA now is all about getting Donald Trump re-elected. Cam R, thank you for that super sticker. And Dream, thank you for that. Thanks for getting the message to the world about China. Okay, I just want to make a point about sort of investment. A few weeks ago, we were talking about that the USA were considering not letting Chinese companies list on the NASDAQ and their stock markets. And I see something really interesting today. I just want to just call this up to get the name of the company here. But this week, a company in China by the name of uCloud, they did a dual listing on the Shanghai as a tech index now, which is kind of China's equivalent as the NASDAQ, called the Star Index, the Star Market. And this company, uCloud, did a dual listing on this Star Market and also the Hong Kong market. And it was extremely successful. On the day of launch, the shares tripled. And there's more and more companies now sort of looking away from the American market to list on this. This was a sort of test IPO to see if it worked. And there's now a queue of Chinese companies who are also going to take this dual listing Shanghai, Hong Kong route. And already I see some reports that the American banks are getting a little nervous about this, because obviously some of these American banks, when they were handling IPOs of these large Chinese companies, they were making handsome profits from this. And obviously if they list in Shanghai and maybe Hong Kong, I guess a lot of the Chinese banks will handle more of that business. But what's really interesting in the next few months, I don't know whether you know, but Alibaba, one of the biggest internet companies here in China, they have a division called Ant Financial, and it's kind of like an online banking. So if, let's say, you're a Chinese citizen and you want to buy something but you haven't got the money, you can go onto your Alipay and you can get a loan, and it's given. They assess you instantly. So I want to borrow 10,000 yuan to buy a new camera. 30 seconds later, I get a yes or a no from Ant Financial. Yeah, and if they approve you, within a minute or two, that money's in your account to spend. Well, Ant Financial are about to do an IPO. They've spun this sort of division off from Alibaba a few years ago, and they're about to IPO. And initially, they were looking at the NASDAQ to IPO on. But they're now going to take this route of having a dual listing on the Shanghai Star Exchange and the Hong Kong Exchange. And it's rumored it could be a bigger IPO than Saudi Arabia's Aramco. And this is going to be massive. And you know, there's a lot of people saying this is going to be a massive slap in the face for the US NASDAQ, and that they're suggesting if it's successful, like they believe it will be, that many Chinese companies won't even bother then to look at the NASDAQ at all. So I think, to a point, by the rhetoric that's coming out of the US, they have completely shot themselves in the foot yet again here with decisions and talk like this.
Well, you know, and we just saw a super chat come up on the screen here. Opinions on Houston and Chengdu consulate. You know, I don't want to continue to consume the time of, you know, of our topic today, you know, factory of the world. You know, that is more of a tit for tat. We've seen that happen in the media. If anybody wants to answer that question, let's give it a couple of seconds. Go ahead, Jerry.
I just want to say one thing. People must not misunderstand that China closed Chengdu down, that it's just a simple tit-for-tat move. This was a planned strategy. They actually thought this through. This was brilliantly done. You know, after the US closed down the embassy in Houston, it's not just they picked a random embassy and closed it down. It's actually way better, more strategized than what people will think out there. So what I'm saying is, around the world, we should not think it's only just closing down embassies. I think both countries need to get together as soon as possible and fix this crap, because this can escalate into something real bad, real fast. And the scary thing here, ladies and gentlemen, is both countries are unpredictable right now. So that is my take on this, John SS.
I'd like to add one more thing.
Please
on
do,
that.
Cyrus. Please do.
Just real quick. I mean, the Houston consulate was actually established in 1979. So we're talking about a consulate that has been operating for over 4 decades. And now all of a sudden, you know, Marco Rubio, the senator from my home state of Florida, is saying, you know, this is great that, we're closing down this consulate because it has been, used as, espionage and spies, and, they're doing nothing but bad things inside this building. It just really shocks me it's quite shocking. It's been there for 40 years, never had a problem, but now all of a sudden, oh yeah, it's terrible. You're using it for all of these bad things. Let's shut them down in 72 hours. I mean, it is just a very knee-jerk reaction. In addition to that, I mean, you have to think of, this is this is a Chinese consulate in America. So you have a number of Chinese personnel that are living there. Their families are there. So what about, human rights for all these people? I mean, they have these consulate members, they have children that are in school, they have, family members, lives, leases on their apartments, everything. And now everything needs to be shut within 72 hours. I mean, it just doesn't make much sense. But you know what? I mean, like we've seen with China's not really the instigator, but they always retaliate, and so that's exactly, what we're seeing here, with the Chengdu. But I like what Jerry said. I mean, it is a more strategic move, for them to specifically look at Chengdu. Obviously, that services all of Western China, so that is a big loss, for the United States if that's the route they're going to go down to. But I agree. I mean, it's just becoming too unpredictable and just too fast. There's too many things moving right now. So I don't like the way this is moving forward. And I agree. Both sides need to sit down. We need to sort this out immediately.
Yeah, and it's also a massive inconvenience, for Americans that actually need a lifeline to China inside the United States. I mean, this displaces a lot of people that need those services, right? I mean, if you need to visit some of these consulates and these embassies for whatever reason, it's not just these embassies and consulates aren't just there for a symbolic reason. They're there to actually help people. One of them could be, visa help. A lot of people get married. I mean, can you imagine that? You've taken these entire consulates or embassies off the grid, and it makes things very complicated. It displaces a lot of people, not just the people that are working in there, right, gentlemen?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think something.
Are we still there? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Something I'd like to sort of bring up is that they've closed this embassy in Houston on the basis that there was spying and espionage going on there. But let's face it, for all the time, sort of pretty much from the day dot, diplomats have sort of conducted espionage on each other's countries forever and a day, really. I mean, this thing goes on. Suddenly, for them to just sort of use this as an excuse, I think it's a bit lame, to be honest.
Yeah, some people ask me why they were burning documents. I will just tell you guys that some of these consulates have visa powers, and that means that they can put visas into passports, as you know. That is crucial. That sometimes those documents, and I'm not saying this from knowledge, but I just know that, I know a few people that were working in consulates around the world, and they say that's the first thing that they always, destroy is visas, because if those fall into the wrong hands, that could be a major security threat.
Yeah, I think it's standard.
Okay, gentlemen,
it's standard protocol with a lot of embassies that they destroy documents if they have to close. I think it's part of their protocol, isn't it?
Okay, so I think what we're going to try to do now is, since we've tackled, the factory of the world, we're going to try to open the lines here and get some of our audience. Now, if you do come on to the show, Wesley will bring you onto the show. What we do ask, though, just for security, is that you guys are polite when you come on the program. Show who you are backstage, but that doesn't mean you have to show who you are on the show. We just do that for security reasons, to make sure that you're old enough to be on the program and stuff like that. And when you come on the program, we are okay to have opposing positions. And also, if there's something that you want to say on the show, keep the cursings to a minimum, or you'll be zapped out of the show. Jerry, you can maybe suggest to the people that are calling in what the best way to do it, how to do it, since you got some experience in this.
So what we're going to do is we're going to drop a link in the side chat. But listen, while we wait for callers to call in, I'm going to ask a question to the panel for you guys if you want to. I want to get your take on this. So while we wait for calls to come in, you click on the link, it will bring you to Alex's studio. Backstage we have Wesley. You can just say hello to him, show yourself that you're not an alien or a robot or something, just say hi to the guy, and he will pull you into the show. As Alex said, let's keep it nice and clean. If you're a weasel or something that want to come on to me, get on, you can talk to me, but leave the other guys alone, and please do not swear on the show. The easy thing is, there's the side chat, the link in the side chat already. You click on it and it will bring you to the studio. So I guess that's how it is. I just want to ask you guys a question while we wait for some callers. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
To get this going, do you guys know what is the 5 dominant markets here in China? Like things people not really think about. Like, can you think of 5 dominant markets here in China?
As in internal markets, I think food's got to be a big one.
Let's talk about exports as well. Well, not necessarily just exports, but international, buyers or people.
I would imagine electronics has got to be fairly dominant. I would imagine China supplies the world with a lot of electronics.
For sure.
Cyrus?
Definitely clothing, textiles, for sure.
I think a lot of that's moving though. I think a lot of that's moving to sort of Vietnam and Bangladesh. Yeah. Although a lot of those factories are still owned by Chinese, incidentally.
Yeah.
They have moved manufacturing to sort of cheaper labor areas. Some of that.
Mr. Alex the Great.
So are we talking exports?
Yeah, look, it can be anything. Remember, we live in 2020, so it doesn't necessarily.
I would say, I would say it's a lot of countries. We'll call it the brain drain. There's probably a lot of professionals, engineers, very, educated people that have left China to help other countries build their infrastructure. So I would say
Yeah, you are right, because there's people
I would
in
say
the
that.
side chat.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people in the side chat. DHG1234 is going with Alex says infrastructure.
Toys is a big
Caliber
one.
Wing says toys. A lot of people says toys and tourists. Some other people says high-speed trains. So there's a lot of stuff coming in. And Fred Culver is actually right on the money with this one. He says tourists. And that is something this is something the world don't really get. But the Chinese are the people that travels the most around the world. Alex just said it about his videos in the Maldives. This is a fact. The Chinese spend a lot of money. So I think this debunk the clown that said it's, in the US that says it's slave labor here in China. These people travel. They have money to travel.
No, absolutely.
And yeah, that is
Can
one.
I add to that, Jerry?
Yeah, go
Can
ahead.
I add to that? There was also, when they come to Thailand, we did start to see that sometimes they hand out small little manuals when you're about to board the plane on procedures and respect of each culture. And that's helping, educate people when they get on the plane. They're saying, okay, maybe you do this in your country, but in this country, it's not really acceptable. Just try to, maintain that. And that is so interesting. That is fascinating that the country is actually concerned about when their citizens are abroad. They want them to, portray themselves professionally. It's extraordinary that someone even thought of that.
And they're one of the biggest spenders abroad. They spend on average a lot more than tourists from other countries.
Absolutely.
That's where I'm getting at. It's not only tourism, it's the fact that the Chinese are the biggest spenders abroad if it gets to tourism. Tourism is one, and here we go. The second one is, it's actually so easy, but it's a fact. The second one is e-commerce. They are busy leading with e-commerce right now. Alibaba is the biggest one at the moment.
They've got AliExpress abroad, haven't they?
Oh yeah, and here's the thing. With this lockdowns, it's going more crazy because China figured out new ways of delivering quicker, faster, and more safe. So they are already a step ahead of the world. So yeah, e-commerce. And then we move on. I'm going to leave the cool one for last. Obviously, and this is what Lee said a little bit earlier, but electric vehicles. They are busy dominating the market with electric vehicles. Then the last one, and this is something we never think about, but it's huge business. The last one is mobile gaming. This is a huge business. Japan was back in the day the leading country with mobile gaming. China is busy taking it over. Here's the cool thing about China. They make mobile games for, people abroad in English countries. And they also do their own games for their Chinese audience. So they win on both sides. They've got enough people to download that app to make huge money over here, which is 1.4 billion people that can play with it. There's the 5 markets they actually dominate, up until date.
And thank you for bringing that up, Jerry, because, you don't realize how many people I run into that have never heard of AliExpress or Alibaba. Period. Right. And one of somebody from my chat just mentioned it. They said, Alibaba is larger than Amazon. People don't realize that. The other point is, guys, I lived in Monaco for about 18 years, and I used to watch Formula One. But somebody corrected me here, and maybe I've been out of Monaco for a few years now. Formula E. Does anybody know what? I have Jeff Parker saying, Alex, I would have liked it had you said Formula E instead of the old Formula Fashion Formula One. I obviously haven't been watching Formula One.
Yeah, Formula E, the electric version, right?
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, guys. I mean, shame on me for that. But I mean, the thing is that when Formula One was coming to Monaco, it was most of the residents that wanted to get out of town, because if you watch Formula One in Monaco, like we have for so many years, that city around March pretty much shuts down. It becomes a construction site. And they're putting up the guardrails, they're putting up the stands. So around that time, most residents that are there all year are saying, oh, here comes the Formula One again. Let's get out of the city. And that's how it was. That's how it went down there. And it's also interesting sport. And I go to that point, where I'm saying that television or streaming is a huge business. Most people that watch these races in Monaco, after 20 minutes, they would go inside to watch it on TV because they wouldn't really know what was going on with the track and how the cars were placed. So, it's amazing that online market is so huge. So how are we doing? Wesley, have we got anybody that is brave to come on the program?
Come on, guys. Call in.
Wesley,
Hi.
you got a thumbs up there? Oh, and just so I don't know if you got that note, Lee. You want to have a moderator on your channel, Wesley, if it's possible.
I'm trying to
Wesley
add him
just
at the
likes
moment,
to
but I'm struggling a little bit. I
mod the channel.
Yeah. Hey,
I
Alex,
can't get him added.
while we sort this out, could you could I just
Go ahead, Cyrus.
Could I call out some super chats?
Go ahead.
Perfect. Yeah, I just want to say thank you to the.
Please do, Cyrus. Yes, of course.
Perfect. Thank you. So I just want to say thank you to Good Life. They sent me a super chat actually the last time and today. Big supporter of my channel. Just want to appreciate that. And then also a super sticker from Norman Tan. Very much appreciate the support. And then also Li Xiaofei Li. I think a nice super sticker and also support both my last time and today. So just want to say thank you to everybody for all the support and very much appreciated.
Yeah, I'd like to sort of raise something. A number of us guys who live in China have made videos on how safe we believe China is, and I stand by that. And I just find it really interesting how the last couple of days there's a couple of videos come out on YouTube by a couple of people who, let's just say they haven't been in China for more than 2 years. They were trying to suggest that it's not a safe place. One was, a video about all the thieves in China, and now there's another one about this safety of China. It's all false. And I just think this is ridiculous. Like Alex, I've traveled to many cities around the world, and I have got to say, with my hand on my heart, I feel that being in cities in China, I feel safer than any other city I've ever been to anywhere in the world. I've been to European cities, I've been to British cities, I've been to American cities. I can walk around, but back in my younger days when I was in Shanghai, sort of 10 years ago, I'd go to a club. It'd be 3 a.m. I'd come out of a club, and I would have no worries in the world at walking back to my hotel, even if it's down sort of smaller roads and off the main road. I had no issues whatsoever. And I feel equally, my partner can come home from work if she has to work overtime, 10, 11 o'clock at night. I don't have to worry in the slightest bit about anything happening to her here. And that's something, that's a freedom here that Chinese people have that many other parts of the world just do not have. But I really get annoyed when I see these YouTubers who are not even in China sort of making these videos to try and say that China is not a safe country, because it really is.
Agree. I agree with Lee 100%. I have 2 kids here. I will never leave my kids in harm's way. I am 100% happy letting my wife and my kids walk on the street even at nighttime. So that's absolute bollocks. Don't even listen to it. It's just a way of getting hits and money because they don't have jobs over in America because the economy is crap. So don't listen to that.
It's a tough thing right now with some of these YouTubers that we know, who have gone down the route of being anti-China, because simply it's more profitable. If you want to slander China right now, that's the popular thing to do, right? That's going to fit the narrative of most. But I mean, it doesn't. Yeah, anybody that spent significant time in China, or not even. I mean, honestly, everybody who comes here is amazed at how safe it is. And I have so many American friends that just say, "But there's no guns in China. How can it be safe?" And it's just that classic American, American ideology. But
hey guys, listen. Listen, I think we have a caller online. I think Alex is maybe sorting out his internet. So maybe we can go ahead and just let the caller introduce himself. Hello, your name on the screen says Game. Can you hear us?
Yeah. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
I can.
Yes.
I can hear you, buddy. Hey, welcome to the show. Can you please first of all tell us where you're calling from, what's your name, and how's things going?
I'm calling from Malaysia.
Oh, nice.
Hello,
I'm
Malaysia.
ethnic Chinese, like a quarter of all Malaysians.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I got a question for you guys. So
Okay.
you get to see, like, from your graphs, from YouTube graphs and statistics and all that. So how many percentage of your audience are actually Westerners? I got a feeling that most of them are like me, Malaysian Chinese, Singaporean Chinese, Hong Kongers, and that's what I think. And then you guys will be preaching to the already converted. So I'm just wondering, like, how much actually are you guys reaching out, to the Western audience?
Okay.
That is I'll start with this one because I've got the smallest channel, I guess, among all these guys. That is a fantastic question. I first want to tell you that's an awesome question. In my YouTube backstage, like basically in the back end of things, I can see analytics of where my viewers come from and that sort of stuff, right? I get a lot of American viewers. That's my biggest audience is American viewers. Now, if you go deep into that American, statistic, I can see that about 60% of that Americans are Westerners on my channel. And I can tell you now, I feel if I can give you a look, if I can give you a sum up of my channel, my small channel, I think I'm on 6,500 or something right now. If I can give you a small sum up of my channel, I have about 60% Westerners and 40% Chinese living abroad. And the cool thing about this is, Game, always remember this as well. The goal is I would like Chinese to move back to their country one day because this is the safest place, number one. This is a place we need to build together. Instead of living abroad, making other countries rich, I believe the Chinese must come back to their country. So for me, it's on both ends. I get the Western audience and the Chinese that lives abroad. And I think it's a good, it's a good strategy because I want the Westerners to see that China is really legit, peaceful, gentle giant of the world. This country is built on hard work from the people, nothing else. There's no war, there's no anger, there's nothing. Chinese people work hard to build this country. And the second thing is, my Chinese audience living abroad, I would really want them to move back to their home country and build it more bigger, more stronger.
Nice.
How do you know that there are Chinese people that are living abroad, and how do you distinguish them?
Because you can definitely see it by the English usage they use in your comment section. That is very, very easy to see. Number one. Number two, I've got a Discord server where I talk to people a lot. Okay, so on Discord servers, they can actually speak with a voice like me and you right now. So it's very easy to interact with your audience on Discord and actually figure out who they really are. So yeah, on my channel, I can give you 100% fact that 60% are Westerners and 40% are Chinese, but I will say most of that 40% Chinese live abroad. I do have people locally that support me locally, and for me, it's cool. It's for me, it's awesome. But on my small channel, I definitely reach a bigger audience. Like I say, first Westerners, second to get my Chinese fellow brothers and sisters back from abroad into China to help build the country.
I like that.
Do you want to go ahead, Cyrus?
Yeah, I would probably be similar to Jerry. I think we have very similar subscriber levels. I do have I'd probably say about 20 to 30% in Hong Kong. Hong Kong, Malaysia, Singapore seem to get a lot of hits from there. But I checked my stats, and I have about 45% in America, which is quite encouraging. So I know that there are most likely for sure probably some Chinese that are living in America, in Canada. So U.S., Canada, I'd say at least almost coming up 45-50% in there. So, and it's good. I do share my videos on Twitter. I'm pretty active, and then also on Facebook. And I'm trying to just help change the narrative, within my own community and, certain here. So one of the things that I did that was really interesting is I made a video specifically about British Columbia, Canada, and how they've dealt with COVID and how essentially, they've done a great job because of the Chinese people here. And I've highlighted a shopping mall, a supermarket called TNT. It's the biggest Asian supermarket in Canada. And the CEO actually saw the video, actually called me personally, actually sent me an email, called me personally. And they had, sent that out over all of theirs channels. And so it had a lot of traction within Canada. And it was great because I think a lot of people, saw this, and it was actually really funny. If somebody else talked to me and said, "Hey, I saw this video about this guy speaking, this foreigner who was, as a white guy who was speaking about, how Canada's done a good job, and it's because of the Chinese community." He's like, and actually, I think that's right. That like Canada's done a good job. Specifically British Columbia, Vancouver has done a good job, because of their Chinese connection. And it was, anyways. There are definitely some foreigners or some, let's say some, Westerners that are non-Chinese that are also getting the message. And I think a lot of people, when you've spent so much time abroad, at least people will say, look, this guy actually knows something what he's talking about. 10 years of experience living and working in China. I think that, helps people at least give you a chance to listen, and I think, all of us, we have a very similar goal. We want to portray China in a little bit more fair way. China is never treated fairly in Western media. I don't think I've ever heard a positive story once on Western media about China, ever. I mean, so I think what we're trying to do is to fill that gap. And I believe that, it's starting to change. I mean, I do see people, starting to be a little bit more open and realizing, wow, there are a tremendous amount of expats that are living in China, and we've got hundreds of thousands of expats in China, so it can't all be as bad as the Western media sees.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think it's a really interesting question that you asked there, and this is something that's leveled at our channel many times. That we're pandering to a Chinese audience. Now, I can't get exact stats because although we can get fairly accurate stats, you can't get exact because there are people who are obviously accessing through a VPN. But China does a good job YouTube does a good job of knowing who's accessing through a VPN, because if I look at my stats, I can actually see viewers that are coming from China, which is quite interesting. But just to give you an idea, I'm from the UK, and my viewing from the UK is about sort of 10th or 12th on my list. By far my biggest viewing geographic area is the USA, Canada, Malaysia, Indonesia. These are the sort of top ones. Hong Kong, I get a lot. And I would say from the comments I read, that there are many Chinese that tell me they are living abroad or studying abroad. So I know, we are connecting to a lot of Chinese, but I also think we are connecting to a lot of Westerners. And the reason I say that is I have Chinese friends who are living abroad, and I also see this in the comments that they have been sort of subjected to in the time they've lived abroad, they have tried to explain counteract the negativity from that media in the US or the UK or Canada or wherever. And they've tried to tell their Western friends that, look, it's not like this. And a lot of them have said their Western friends, don't always believe them. So what I find a lot of my subscribers do who are Chinese living abroad, they will share my videos on their own social media. And obviously a lot of their friends on their own social media are non-Chinese. So this gets the message out. I've also seen messages on my boards, and I've had private messages sent to me that suggest that people have watched our channels and changed their minds. I've had people saying, I always thought China was this because I listened to the Western media, but watching your videos of places you go and things you do, I can see that the narrative is not true. So my mind is changing about China. And, my thing, even if I only change the minds of a very, very few people, I know that what we're doing is working, because China is not at all like the Western media portray. Of course, it's not perfect, and nobody will ever pretend it's perfect, just like many other countries around the world are not perfect. However, it is nothing like that is portrayed by Western politicians and Western media. So that's sort of, hope that answers your question, Gabe.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah, you don't have to tell me that, the media is completely skewed towards, certain narrative. And, it almost seems to me like this is like a call towards war. And that's what I'm kind of worried about. And I think there are a lot of people that are seeing this, especially. And because I speak Taiwanese and Mandarin and Hokkien, which is Taiwanese, and Cantonese. So I watched those channels as well. Previously, there weren't a lot of, I wouldn't say pro-China. I would say China neutral channels.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Because most of the YouTubers are anti-China. So anyone that gives a fair view is like perceived as being pro-China, but to me it's like China neutral. And a lot of these Taiwanese and Hong Kong channels has like popped up, to make a case that it's the against the anti-China narrative that's being portrayed by the West and from Hong Kongers and Taiwanese people themselves. So for that, I'm grateful, and I'm grateful to you guys that are attempting. I'm still not very convinced like how much Western audience you're reaching out to, but definitely a good attempt, and it's also good to change Chinese people's minds that not all Westerners are evil and trying to lie and trying to slander China.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
So because China is 1/4 of the world's population, China is 1/4 of the world's population. If the Chinese people perceive that foreigners are evil, just imagine, because China is ultimately going to be the largest economy in the world, like it or not. It's just a matter of time. Trump might slow it down a little bit. So if they all think that we are all evil, even if me as a ethnic Chinese Malaysian, if they think that we are all evil and just bash on China, if that's their perception, like America perceive that all Chinese are evil, it's going to be a very tough world for us to live in, to share.
Sure.
So thank you guys.
Did you just say you spoke Hakka?
Hokkien.
Oh, okay. I just wonder originally where your family are from in China.
Okay, so before we're gonna let you go, Gabe. Okay, yeah.
Where are your family from in China originally?
Actually, I'm Peranakan Chinese. So my family migrated to these parts of the world, in the 17th century. So most of the immigrants in Singapore and Malaysia are like third generation. Like mine is like, 10 generations. I can't even go, very, very early migrants. And there are we are a very small minority in in Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, and Indonesia as well. So we are the early migrants, like the first wave of migrants at the end of the Ming Dynasty before the Qing took over.
Interesting. Nice.
That's cool. That's cool, man.
That is really cool.
Listen, Game. We're gonna say goodbye to you. Thank you so much for coming on. That was really cool, man. We do appreciate this. Yeah. I think Alex will take it from here real soon. I think it's cool. People can call in maybe one caller and come say hi. I just have one final question for you before I let you go, Game. Did you already subscribe to all of our channels, buddy?
Yeah, mostly.
Awesome, dude. Because I want you to keep an eye on that, because I promise you'll see that sooner or later some minds will be changed. We want peace. That's the main goal here. Peace and success, brother.
Absolutely.
Cheers, man.
Guys, I'm going to butt in. I do have a super chat from Francisco Rivera. Takes time for Western Americans to accept that China is the best country in the world. China is better, or yet becoming the best country in the world. I mean, I don't like to get into saying, I mean, first of all, thank you for the super chat and the support. I don't want to say, I don't think any country is the best. I mean, I think that every country has good and some bad. Every country needs to work on it. I mean, I come from America, where we're kind of we have the attitude, or you kind of grow up that we are the best. And that is, a very interesting thing, because even my sister, her and I are very different it's very funny. You know, she had told me, she's like, I don't really like to travel. I mean, I'm already in the best country in the world. Why do I want to travel? And I was like, oh, that's probably why you need to travel, you know? So, you know, I mean, I think all of us on here, you know, we're all about trying to bring the world together and, you know, understand our different cultures and everything. But I appreciate all the support. And I guess, you know, just to follow up on Game's thing that he said, you know, a lot of times we do probably reach out to a lot of people that are Chinese or that support what we're doing. And so, you know, maybe a little bit of, you know, preaching to the choir. But I do think it's amazing is that, you know, you have to put yourself in the shoes of these many Chinese in China and around the world. You know, what they've gone through right now is incredible. You know, people are, you know, committing racist act towards Chinese. Many Chinese are feeling down and oppressed. I know everyone on this panel is probably receiving messages like this, but said, you know, I've received comments, Cyrus, thank you for putting content. It just is nice. It really gives me an encouragement. And I think I get a lot of motivation for, you know, wanting to do that. So even if we are, you know, having a lot of Chinese view our content, I think it does help them as well, you know, just to know that they have some support from us and that we are trying our best to change the native. Yeah. Go ahead, Lee.
I've got a couple of super chats here that back that up. So first one is from Trevor Norman. I agree with you, Lee. When I share your videos and show people the videos on WeChat from my family in China, it opens their eyes and not how Western media shows them. And then another one from DJ Rebel. Thanks to your videos, I'm now interested in going to China once I can leave from the US. So I do think it's happening, but I just get so annoyed with these YouTubers who constantly, you know, they'll pull some material from 8 or 10 years ago and try and say, oh, this is what's happening now in China, you know, because obviously the two most predominant ones of these, they haven't been in China for a long, long time. So all their material is obviously very old. Now, you know, a lot can change in 5 years, you know, and yeah, there was, when I first came to China sort of 10 or 12 years ago, there was a lot of problems in the cities with petty crime. There was a lot of pickpocketing, but there isn't any more because they've address those issues and China have now moved on. And that's why I said earlier, Chinese cities are some of the safest cities in the world.
You know, I want to add to this. You know, one of the reasons why we did start this show many months ago was to give, you know, a voice to China. We do have to accept, though, Lee and the panel, we do have to accept that people will have a different opinion. Whether they're in China or not in China, that is just the fact. And that's something that we have to accept. What I don't want and what I don't like is when things get very, I'll say it, personal. And also, you know, that does affect, you know, countries and people traveling around the world. And when, you know, there's content creators out there that can be factual. There's content creators out there that can have an opinion. But then there's people out there that outright, you know, do targeted hits and stuff like that. And, you know, my wife, who studied law and, you know, knowing a lot of people in the business of legal and lawyers is that this stuff gets very personal, and if you you know, berate or attack individuals, there's a pretty hard flip side to that. You're not sure what that person is capable of on the other side, and I want to give an example and what I mean by that.
Hey,
I'm
Alex,
totally fine. Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I just want to real quick. I've got a dash actually, so I just want to, I apologize. I needed to leave 5 minutes ago, but I wanted to just say thank you all for having me on the show. Sorry to interrupt. I just thank you all for your continued support. So Lee, Jerry, Alex, thank you all, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much.
Take care, Cyrus.
Do you want us to, Cyrus? Do you want us to continue to stream to your audience, and we'll close it down?
That'd be great. Absolutely.
Okay, fantastic.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Cyrus, and we'll chat in a bit later. Okay.
Perfect. Cheers.
So if you haven't already, guys, subscribe to Cyrus's channel. He has a prior commitment at this time. We did have someone backstage. Have they gone? I don't know if they're gone or not. Wesley, have they gone? Maybe you could let us know. But as I was continuing to say, guys, is that a lot of these attacks and stuff like that, it's fine to have an opinion, but we have seen the dark side of the internet. What happens is when you are attacking certain individuals, some people can take it, some people can handle it, and some dark things have happened. As a Canadian, I know we had a heartbreaking story of online bullying and stuff happened to a young lady in Canada, and she took her life. So this is very serious stuff. It's fine to have opinions, but when you get personal on people, just keep in mind that some people aren't necessarily or don't necessarily have the tools to handle the barrage of negative criticism. I know this panel deeply cares about how people feel. We read it in our comment box probably daily, gentlemen. Some people are very upset and very, I'm gonna focus on the Chinese here. Lee and Jerry, guys, every day I open the comment box, I see, and for the last few months, a lot of people are really, really affected and are really, really upset about what's happening. And we're here to try to bridge the gap. We're here to help our Western friends out there understand. It doesn't mean we're pro-China or anti-US. I'm trying to be as balanced as I can possible, but when it's outright and outrageous stuff that comes across my desk, we do have to take a stand. And I just want to kind of deviate a little bit away from this and get onto the Meng situation. Well, I've got Lee on here. There was an update this morning that's come out, and we're going to try to add that to my link later because I just got this mid-show, okay, Lee? And this is a headline that's come up that says Meng Wanzhou accuses the U.S. of misleading Canada in poisoned extradition proceedings. I think that was been pretty accurate. If you guys have not noticed, but Lee has done some stories on that. I've done a show on that last week with Lee, and actually, as of Friday, Lee and I kind of discuss this a little bit more in depth, and I hope we can get that video out this week. I know you're on your own, but
that'll be out later this week, definitely.
Yeah. So that's the latest situation. If we could go to Jerry. Jerry, I'm going to give you some time if there's a few things that you want to address to the audience.
First of all, are we going to wrap it up now? Yeah.
In about 5 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Take your time, Jerry. Take your time.
Okay, first, I just want to say thank you that we had this conversation, China, the factory of the world. I think it's a proper cool topic to talk about, especially in the time that we live in right now. This country is angry with this one. These people are, blaming this one for the virus. It's at the end of the day, we see the world must be connected. We need to export, we need to import, we need to do business with each other. Doesn't matter if they close down consulates, left, right, and center. At the end of the day, we need to continue. The show must go on, right? We need to continue doing business. So I think it's a very cool topic. Hey, I believe Alex just said he's a very natural guy, balanced guy. If it gets to China, the US, I just want to make it very clear. I do not hate America. In fact, I love America. America is one of the coolest countries in the world, but the ideology for me is absolutely crap, to be kind of honest, okay? I don't like how the people do politics over there in America, but the country itself and the people itself, I believe America is cool. But I do stand my ground here. I am 100% pro-China, so people can call me as it is. I am pro-China. And the reason I am pro-China is because I believe in it. I believe in this country. I believe in my kids' future. That's why it's also a cool topic to talk about, because they will learn Mandarin. They will go into the business world here in China. I do believe this country has got the potential of being the #1 country around the world. And they do it without any aggression or bullets fired. They do it merely with hard work. And that is why I stand in this camp, and I will defend China as much as I can. If Lee spoke about anti-YouTubers talking about how unsafe China is, guys, that's just games. That's trying to get hits on YouTube. I recommend, as I said long time before, save up a little bit money when the virus thing blows over. get your little fat ass on a plane and fly into China. Come have holiday here. Because I tell you now, believe me, once you set foot in China and you experience what's really going on here, you will definitely change your mind. Hey, listen, there's a lot of YouTubers in Chongqing right now. Watch out for that videos, especially Lee Barrett, Alex Absolute, Guayla60 is there at the moment, drinking up all the beer there in Chongqing. I hope I will be going next. I need to get in there because, man, this proves my statement. China's got the coolest tourist attraction venues and places and cities that you never seen before, but you will. Just follow these channels.
And thank you for that, Jerry. Just to give you an observation on what's going on in Chongqing. I've went to Chongqing, as you guys know. I have quite a few videos out on my channel on that, and I thought it was such a fantastic city. I told a lot of the people I chat with on a day-to-day basis and YouTubers out there to get up to Chongqing and see what's going on out there, and they're doing just that. We're all kind of working together to get the message out on this amazing city. I know that you guys have seen Chiao from iChongqing on this program. You should go check out their website or their actual YouTube page called iChongqing. There's a really nice couple of videos that have gone up there, one with the Barretts and just lately Guelo's last video that went out. Very cool videos, guys. The other thing I want to say is that, Jerry, I actually have noticed in the last couple of weeks that there seems to be more of a bonding of the community here where, I don't like using this term anti and pro, but I'm starting to see that the ice is melting a bit here. And some of the, what we used to see, some of the people that were quite, we'll say it, opposing or really on the other side, is we're getting, it seems to be cooling off here a bit. And I feel that that's a good thing. That means that some people do want to say, things about China that they, we could criticize them and say it's anti, but the mannerism seems to be coming forward. I've been watching a lot of other channels' videos, and I'm saying that we're, things are getting there. And I think we're getting better as a panel as well, that to know that we also have to highlight things that we may not necessarily enjoy highlighting on China and stuff like that. But I think, in general, as this continues on and as all channels out there, there might be the odd ones that aren't going to cut away from their script. But I'm seeing, a few other people starting to get more balanced, and that makes me feel happy.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Alex. I've noticed that. I just want to address one comment here from a guy called. Hang on, let me just find it. Okay, so Lawrence Force. Hang on, let me just find his comment. Sorry about this, but he basically says that it's not all about politics. Many people don't really care that much about politics. Okay, let's be understanding, people. If we Westerners are told to consider the views of Chinese people, then they should also consider the views of us Westerners. Yeah, I completely agree with that comment. And then he goes on to make, there is much beyond politics. Politics are a small fraction of what a population thinks. And I will agree with that. And I think this is what sort of a lot of Westerners fail to understand about Chinese. There are a huge amount of Chinese here that have a very good life. They can do pretty much what that. So let's take politics out of it altogether, because the accusation that a lot of Westerners will make is, they don't have freedom in China because they can't criticize their government. But a lot of the people here in China are really not bothered about whether they're criticizing the government. That there is a high.
Okay, but Lee, sorry, I want to stop you there. I just want to make it clear, why are they not bothered?
Because,
why are they not bothered?
Because go ahead.
Because the government is amazing. That's the fact I want to get in some people's minds. The government in China has great managers. They lead this country fantastically well. So it's absolutely bollocks.
Yeah, they provided.
One at a time, gentlemen. One at a time.
Yeah,
sorry.
go ahead. That's okay. Go ahead, Jerry. Go on.
I just want to make it clear that you are so right, man. Everything you say is so right, and people are absolute either dumb or on purpose to not understand that this is great management by the government. It's really, really great management. That's why the people are happy. Look at a business. If your employees are happy and your business do great, the whole goddamn business the business is happy. And this is what's happening here in China. So people are coming out to talk nonsense about the government and this country and its people because they can't understand how these people get this right. It's too much for their little heads. It can't get into their heads. So I'm going to give it over to Lee.
Jerry.
I'm going to go over to Lee rather.
Jerry,
Sorry, I just want to, come on now. I think the reason that so many people are not that bothered about criticizing government is because their government has created an environment where people here can live a pretty good life. You know, as long as they're not doing things they shouldn't be doing, illegal things. And I won't say all people, that there are some people who will fall outside of those boundaries, but a lot of people in China are living a good life. Now, we did a video in the countryside here in a place called Meizhou, and I had some comments on it. Oh, look how poor they are. You know, they're living in these houses. But what you've got to remember, these people are living in houses that they don't have a mortgage to worry about. Those houses are built and paid for. They raise chickens. They grow vegetables. They're very happy doing that. You know, that's their lifestyle, and they're very happy. You know, they don't have all the stresses of cities and, you know, servicing loans and paying mortgages. But it's not to say they're poor. They might be poor in financial terms. Actually, a lot of them are not, but they may be poor in financial terms. But in terms of how they want to live their life, you could argue they're very rich. You know, so it's just different. The West seems to think that the definition of freedom and rich has to be the Western definition, and that's not necessarily true. There are many Chinese people who live a very good life who may not have a huge amount of money, but they're very happy and they live a very fulfilling life.
Okay, so let me know when you're done, gentlemen.
Okay. Alex is trying to bring some control back, so let him do that. A point I want to make, and I'm going to, this is going out to you, Jerry. We feel that people should completely take our word and believe it. And this show is designed to try to bridge the gap. The show is designed to be a voice for the Chinese people. But there's something that we tend to not really understand. And I have family that still live in Canada. And when I explain China to them, they don't quite grasp it. And it's hard for us. It's hard for us to understand that, because we've been to China, we've experienced it. We see some of the amazing things that it does to us as individuals. It actually changes us as people. And we go back to these communities or these countries. For example, I'll give you an example of how Canada works, because maybe you haven't been to Canada, Jerry, but how my sister's lives work in Canada, it's very straightforward. Go to university, come out of university with a student loan. Credit card companies are waiting for you. The mortgage industry is waiting for you to finance a 20, 30-year mortgage, and the car companies are waiting for you to take a loan out for your car. And then you're on the system, and you're on the system for 30 or 40 years. You're a good taxpayer in Canada. No one's bothering you. You're allowed to take your 2 to 3 week vacation a year. And that is the life of a lot of Canadians. And that's great, But when we try to say, hey, there's so much more out there, you must understand that we can't say to these people, oh, you should understand. Why don't you understand what's wrong with you? A lot of people, Jerry, have not got on a plane and gone over to these parts of the world to discover this.
So it's very hard for them to grasp what we're explaining, because I'll tell you, 20 years before I went to, I started going to China in 2003. Before that, I was one of those people saying, no, it's impossible. That can't be possible. And then I arrived in one of my first cities in China, Shenzhen, and my head just went bang. And I said, whoa, wait a minute. There's people walking up and down the streets with, packages being shipped out to the world. And I turned to my wife and I said, okay, if, it's going to be hard to beat this nation, let's join them. And that's why it's hard for us. And we get frustrated, Jerry, and I don't want you to get frustrated all the time about this stuff. Just give it a bit of time. We'll continue to try to open up people's minds about China, even the critics. And that's how we have to do it. We just cannot assume that people are going to understand what's going on in China. It is, to me, a miracle what's going on there. Anyway, over to the panel.
Right, you are right. Lee?
Okay, yeah. So I would agree with that. I think, I think it's like when I listened to Pompeo's speech yesterday, it's like, I think America and other Western countries need to let China be China. They have a different way of doing things. They have their own style. If you look at the satisfaction reports from, I think it's Harvard University, one of the highest ratings are from the Chinese people for their government. Way higher satisfaction of the Chinese people for their government than many Western countries. And I think that's very interesting. I think, and the undertones of Mike Pompeo's speech was like, oh, well, Nixon, I believe it was Nixon or Kissinger opened the door to China. And we've tried to force Western democracy on them, and it hasn't worked. I just don't understand why these Western countries want to push their system onto a country that has much different cultures. They think differently. Why not just let China be China and cooperate with them? And rather than trying to attack them all the time, if they're not happy with Chinese policies, why don't they try to steer them through negotiations instead of just attack? Because I think that attacking them will just make the Chinese more against them. It's not going to help, international matters at all. It's just going to make China more sort of, steadfast in their sort of, be resolute against them instead of working together. And I think it's crazy.
But I think it's human nature, Lee. It's human nature. I mean, if we move away from Pompeo and we go more of a global thing, I think there's certain things in your country to be proud of. Of course, us Canadians are proud of our maple syrup and stuff like that. Or, I'm the first ambassador for Canada when it comes to hockey and stuff like that. So I think it's, once again, it could be Americans really wanting China to see their side of democracy. Now, that could be coming from some Americans that haven't been to China. Now, we could take, this would be an interesting study. We could take 10 Americans and 10 Canadians and 10 Brits over and do a study on them in China and see, a month later what they come back. Because when I travel to countries, I've been to about almost 110 now. Every time I go to a country, there's something in another country there I said, wow, that would be amazing in my country, or if we could do that. And then there's things in Canada that I bring to other nations. I try to be polite. Canadians are mostly known for being polite. I hope most of them are known for that. And, that's a thing that we try to, portray around the world. So I think, the more we do this program and the more we learn about what really irks people, education is something that, some of our school systems could be more worldly. Maybe some of these topics need to be brought up in younger years instead of waiting for people to come out. And I mean, we have to understand that every nation is set up different. I just gave you an example how Canada is set up. Canada is set up to, you're done university, you should be married by now, and that's okay. I mean, I'm fine with that. My sisters are all lovely ladies. They all have, jobs in all types of sectors and are married with kids. That's fantastic. But what happens is that trying to tell somebody that is, to do something differently, it's hard. And for us as individuals, we're just excited to see China. And I mean, we have Wesley that runs our back end here. I mean, I don't know if Wesley's been to China, but I tell you, he's heard enough of this show that he's probably quite interested to go to China. So I'm going to just do a roundabout now here with the rest of the panel here. I'm going to start with Jerry. Jerry, you can give us your last thoughts. And if you need a little bit more airtime, take it. Just want to say thank you to Caliber Wings. You get to see the different facets of the world of life when you travel and then compare them on your own. Exactly why Alex is qualified to give his opinion in 100 plus countries. Thank you very much for that, Francisco Rivera.
Just to interrupt you there, when you mentioned Caliber Wings, can he get in contact with me? Because I'm in Shenzhen. I want to go down to his factory and make a video on his aeroplanes he's doing. He can get the email from the About tab of our YouTube channel.
I have him on one of my contacts, and I actually reached out to Ollie a while back on that. But Ollie said, hand this over to Dad.
Yeah, that's
he said,
fine.
hand it over to Dad. And I think I might have been late on that. Anyway, we're going to get to that anyway. Jerry, take the time that you need. Once you're done, hand it to Lee. Lee, hand it to me, and then we're out of here.
Cool. Thank you so much, guys, everyone, for watching. I just want to make this clear. You said it very well, Alex and Lee. You guys are more mature than me. I just feel it's absolute bullshit. What's going on around the world? Just always remember, Trump is a symptom. He's not a virus, right? So the thing is here, there's countries that join together to come on against China, and that is what pisses me off. They create this bollocks about China, and it starts to affect me because my kids are Chinese, you understand? And that is why I stand up for it by showing truth. Hey guys, this is period. What we show you here is truth. There's no if or but, it's truth. So it's up to you if you want to believe us or not. If you don't, get on a plane, come join me. I give you a free bed in my room to sleep for a week. Come check out China for yourself, make up your decisions. But I'm going to follow Alex and Lee, how they explained it. It's much better than the way I do it. So then I want to say thank you for the topic for today. It was a great topic. I think it's important for people to understand that China is still busy doing business. Again, they are busy loading right behind my computer screen right there, busy to ship away into the world. And hey, do remember the shipping containers they ship these goods in? These shipping containers are made in China, so by the way. Anyway, and then I want to say, guys, on my channel, I opened up memberships for you guys. You can go ahead and click the blue button. There are various options for you to choose from, and you can become a member on my channel, which gives you more perks. All the super chats, super stickers, thank you so much for sending them through. If I did miss any, I'm sorry, I'll make it up with a cool video coming in the week. And then I want to say thank you, Alex, for sitting alongside you and Lee Barrett on the screen today. Two legends, two pioneers in the game. Seriously, I do appreciate it. And all the audience on all the channels, you guys are freaking awesome for supporting us. Without you, the show is nothing. So please tell your friends about it. Keep on coming back. And from my side, I do appreciate each and every one of you. Love you guys. Till maybe next week or the week after.
Thank you very much for that, Jerry. Over to you, Lee.
Yeah, thank you, Jerry, for those kind words. That really means a lot. You know, we all come here, we give up our time. We produce this show. Alex does a fantastic job of hosting this show. You know, we get out of bed every morning. We create content. And one of the big reasons we create that content is to show people what it's like here in China, what our lives are like, what we see, what we do. So a big thank you to everybody who supports us on that, you know, via WeChat donations or super chats or super stickers. It allows us to keep bringing that content. You know, I pretty much invest, you know, 90% of that back into the channel to buy equipment, to, you know, just traveling around so we can show you places. As from our channel this week, what you can expect. So me and Alex did a collaboration video where we were talking about 5G and Huawei just a couple of days ago. That will be airing on the channel in the next few days. Ollie's got another video he recorded with his girlfriend that's coming. I think he's talking about face in China. So that will be an interesting one. On Sunday afternoon, I'm flying up to Hunan. And this is really exciting for me because I'm a bit of a technology sort of buff. I'm going to sit in an office in Hunan and control an excavator that is, hundreds or maybe thousands of kilometers away in another province using 5G technology. So I might be digging some holes in the ground and that at the Sanya plant using that 5G technology. So I'm super excited about that. And of course, I'll be bringing you a video on that. We are a little behind with our editing. We've got a huge amount of Chongqing videos coming. Ollie's got a load from northern China, Qinghai in Mongolia. I need to get Ollie back here to Shenzhen at double speed so we can get on with the editing and get them all out. But as always, take care, people. Over to Alex.
Thank you for that. Gabriel Foster, thank you for your super chat. Did I see anything that had to do with Bitcoin in Chongqing? A matter of fact that you said that, yes, I did. I did see that for sure. If you want, just comment on one of my videos and I will get back to you and tell you what I did see. Thank you to Yanni Zhang for your contribution. That means a lot. That keeps the channel going. And thank you to Jerry for stepping in there. You might be stepping in there for me next week, Jerry, as we see what happens with my surgery. So thank you for helping out tremendously with that. I know all of us have families, yes, and sure. we have to take care of them. They're number one. But all the people out there, it really means a lot to us that you're watching us. It's important that you subscribe or resubscribe, as I say. We've been seeing a lot of that lately. And a lot of, we've been seeing a lot of China videos have been really kind of not really more. I don't want to use the word censored. It's just that you'll see that some of these videos are not being recommended. So it helps that when you see our videos, hit the share button on the videos and share them with all your friends through all social media. It helps out tremendously a lot to the panel. As you guys know, I'm in the middle of my Maldives series right now. That has taken my wife and I almost 2 months, and we're continually still editing that content. So I'm happy if you guys watch that, and thank you very much for that. And it's been my pleasure to have a nice chat with Lee yesterday about Huawei. Guys, this is what I think a lot of the banter is about here that's going on with this situation. Meng's update, if you don't know, this Huawei thing, I think, is going to be coming to a conclusion very soon. It's been 2 years, but I feel I feel this Huawei situation is going to be coming to a close soon because yours truly has gone over hundreds and hundreds of pages of legal documents in regards to this case. There is nothing there, nothing to see here. And I think we're going to see that she hopefully will go. And what on the other side with the other Canadians, we hope that that is going to also be worked out, and hope justice is, fair to everyone in this. Okay, thanks everyone again from all of us here. We do appreciate you coming in on our Saturdays or your Friday nights. It means a lot. Don't forget to subscribe to all these channels. Thank you again to Cyrus for being part of the program. Hopefully we're going to get Guelo back. Sorry, guys, I was looking right into the light. My camera's here. Sorry, guys, that we'll try to keep these shows consistent. And each Saturday, we'll try to do that for you. All right. So again, from me and the panel, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to be here for you all tonight. Thank you.
Cheers all.
And goodbye.
China matters.
Take care.